listening to the Narrative Podcast. You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another full episode of the Narrator Podcast. I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. Welcome this afternoon or evening or whenever you will be listening to this broadcast. So I just know we had a good, productive week. And if you didn't, that's all right. Welcome to the Narrator Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, reciprocity, and positivity. And I am your host, Halsey Allen. All right. Welcome all my narrators. My narrators, they are my target audience. They already know what my platform entails, what my content is all about. But before diving into the content, I'll bring my new listeners up to speed with a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast and all the nuances of the Narrative Podcast. So here we go. I'm going to take you guys on a little tour starting right now. So let's start at the very top. Tippy, the name, Narrative Podcast. What does that mean? What's that derived from? Okay, I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original culture. So what I want to do is design a platform to basically deflect the overall perception and portrayal of our people and our culture by the media, by designing the platform where I'm celebrating our people and our culture and putting us in a positive light instead of the normal negative light that we're always portrayed in by the media. The media portrays us this way primarily for profit, but they also do it as a form of psychological warfare. They cause people outside of our culture to view and treat us a certain way based on, the frames of reference that they give them. Then they also, psychologically program and condition us as a people, accepting non-normal things within our culture and normalizing things that we shouldn't be normalizing and celebrating within our culture, and accepting some of the conditions that we live in, because they've through the years have broken down our resistance and desensitized us to a lot of things. That's what the Narrative Podcast is about. It's just about building up and edifying my people. As a matter of fact, that's a perfect segue to my intro, the Narrative Podcast. Changing the narrative one episode at a time. How do I change the narrative? By providing positive frames of reference about original people and original culture. The ultimate takeaway I want people to gain from my podcast, if nothing else, is the importance of sharing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Because we're living in the digital age, and basically we're judged on what we post online. People equate, our philosophical views, religious views, personal hobbies and interests, who you are as an individual based on the types of things that you're posting online. And so just imagine how we look as a people to the world if we're embracing these negative stereotypes and stigmas that the media places over our people by, circulating and regurgitating it online. So, said all that to say, that's my primary mission, is to, bring awareness to especially everybody, but especially my people, the importance of sharing positive content about your people and your culture online, because we're demonized and vilified by the media. We're portrayed as degenerates, lowlifes, amoral people, ignorant, stupid, violent, the whole gamut, like all the negative stereotypes about our people and culture you can think of. We personify that by posting some of the things that we post online and engaging in some of the activities that we engage online. It's like, we're quietly accepting this, these negative stereotypes and stigmas. What this podcast is not about, it's not about caring, trying to win favor, or caring about, what people outside of our culture think about us, how they perceive us. This is more along the lines of, if you're going to tell our story, tell it correctly. And so that's what I'm doing here on the Narrative Podcast. I'm telling our story correctly. I'm telling it from the perspective that we are kings and queens, that we're gods and goddesses of the universe, that we, the higher echelon, that we are regal, that we are righteous, that we are, positive, loving, that we move with a sense of urgency, that we, care about our families, care about our communities, care about each other. That's the, what you should be, your online story of whatever digital platform you occupy, it should be reflective of that. You should be posting stories about, leadership, entrepreneurship, family structure, being a good citizen, being a pillar within your community, giving back, loving your children, loving yourself. This is, the stories that should be reflective of that on your timeline, on any, space that you occupy. Because, we don't need to be further perpetuating the negative stereotypes of gang culture, drug culture, pimp culture, whore culture, the whole nine. We shouldn't be playing into that. So yeah, another thing about my podcast is I try to make everything time sensitive, meaning, when I first started my podcast, I had no idea of what I wanted to, talk about. And essentially I would just, I would hit the button and just start talking and not have any rhyme or reason, no particular point in general. It was just basically, a glorified rant. I started this podcast around about the time of the pandemic. We were still semi in quarantine, like we was coming out of it, but, we still had the 6 feet apart. Everything was still 6 feet apart. I think they had just lifted the mask mandate, and lifted the curfew, but businesses were slowly opening up. But essentially, that's about the pocket that I started this podcast. But like I said, when I started it, I had no idea what types of subjects I want to touch on, what I want to do. And then I was like, I want to, because I was seeing just while we was in quarantine, just an insurmountable amount of garbage, trash, social media sleaze, negatively portraying and depicting our images and likenesses of our people and our culture. And I didn't like that. So I was like, what is the best way to engage people? And I came up with the solution to just like keep it short and sweet and to the point. So what I did is devise a system where I can cover a vast amount of topics in a short amount of time. So I basically split my podcast up into sections, gave each section the speaking points, and this I came to find out helps make my content more digestible, easier to follow, and prevents me from talking in circles, going down rabbit holes, and, linking, prevent me from making straw man arguments and just making some easy to follow content, digestible and relatable content. And I can appeal to everybody, no matter, what level of intellect they're on, anywhere from like high ranging top 3 type intellects to, just practical everyday working Joe. I can appeal to the masses this way. Another misnomer about the Narrator podcast, I refer to our people as original people as opposed to black. The reason, I do that is because I believe the word original is a more accurate description of our people and our culture. I'm not going to go into a whole, lecture about it, because like I said, I try to make my content time sensitive, and what I've come to realize in my studying is I was eating up a whole lot of time trying to explain why I refer to our people as original people and original culture. So I give you the short version of it. It's just basically I feel like that unifies us as a people because, there's so many different types of us, hailing from so many different types of land masses, believing in so many different religions, ideologies, philosophies, speaking different languages, and just, all kinds of things to, separate us. But the one thing we all have in common, the common ground, the common denominator, is that we were here first. If we possessed melanin, we can all trace our lineage back to the original origin point for mankind. It's scientifically proven that we was here first. And so that's what I mean by original people and original culture. So anytime I'm saying original man or woman, I'm referring to our people, black people. But I just try to refer to ourselves as original people as opposed to the word black. Also, this is a positive space. I don't engage, endorse, or promote, gossip. I think gossip is destroying our people, especially here online. Because, we're the only people using social media in a negative way, meaning like using it to be petty towards one another. It's incentivized with money, of course, but ultimately it's slow death and it's unproductive. And it's just like, I've never been intrigued into knowing about a celebrity's, personal life, far as like, who are they sleeping with and their orientation and, just stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing about the field that they're in. Like, of course I care about like if they're like a serial killer or a pedophile or something like that. But, as far as like who they're dating and, their sexual preferences and turn-ons and turn-offs, I don't, what they're wearing, like, I don't care. And I don't think we should care as a people. I don't think that should be like breaking news on, in our, in our space, in the original man and woman space on the internet. So again, like I said, it's incentivized with money to gossip about each other, put each other down and drag each other through the mud and throw each other under the bus. But I don't do it here on the Narrator podcast. I just, I try to uplift and edify our people in any way possible. So just know, anytime I'm mentioning a celebrity's name, our brother, our sisters, like all the content on the Narrator podcast that the angle that I come at, everything is, putting us in the most positive light possible. So if I'm, talking about a brother or sister, mentioning their name like an entertainer or somebody famous, it's not the clout chase. It's definitely not to put them down and throw them under the bus. This is to illustrate a point and the perspective I always come at anything. Like, yeah, we have our in-house issues. We got our things we need to work on, but I'm more focused on the why. We do this, and here's why. And then I gave you an example, and it's usually to make it register that they're entertaining because they're in the eye of the public, and that's all. It's just basically like a mnemonic device, not to, tear down or belittle or none of that. But what I do is if a brother or sister is, recklessly moving in the eye of the public in such a way it makes all of us look and appear a certain way, I do, unapologetically call out that type of behavior because, it's all about the greater good over here. How does that appear to the greater good? The Narrative podcast is all about the movement and the people. It's not about the foolishness. One last point I want to make before diving into the content is, like I said, the media is wicked and evil and diabolical, but the media is a business. And like all businesses, the first law of business is supply and demand. So meaning, if we're not posting foolishness, they can't create foolish content negatively using our images and our likenesses. And we play into that, like I said, by posting foolishness online. Because like these, the media, these Fortune 500 companies, that's how they do their research to crank out that type of content. They monitor people's accounts. They record what you're clicking on, record what you're posting online, and they create content based on what they believe you want to see. So basically, that's a way to absolve the media from these horrible television shows, horrible movies, horrible pieces of literature, articles, magazines, depicting us in a negative light because they're just going off by the algorithm, what they think we like. So they, based on their statistical research, they think we want to be perceived and portrayed, in a degenerate type manner. They don't think we want to be, admonished or perceived as, godly, righteous, or positive. They want to see us down bad and always, engaging in something negative. So that's just my last little tidbit I want to touch on. Is it is a business, and we shouldn't foster into the business. And then, one more last little thing. I call my target audience my narrators. And the reason I do that is because, I already said we live in a digital age. We're now living in the space where we can tell or narrate our stories. And so essentially we can kind of control the narrative in a sense. So meaning like, we can control what we're posting on our timelines. We can be the star of our timelines. We can portray our people in a positive light on our timelines because we're so, impactful and influential, So why not utilize your space, your digital platform to, make your people the heroes instead of the villain? All right. That's it and that's all. I'm fitting to dive in now. Here we go, underway, the very first section of the Narrator Podcast full weekend edition. And my first section is called the promo section. And in this section, what I'm doing is I'm giving people the opportunity to reach out to me, original people that own or operate their own business or have a product or service that they would like promoted for 110% for free. So, whatever you're trying to promote, whatever trying to sell, or you're hosting an event, you want lots of people to know about it, reach out to me for that free promotion. The reason why I'm doing it is to help do my part to help circulate the original people dollar within the original people community. Because the more people that know about your business, the more people are patronized, right? I do have a following. I'm not charging any money because while we are due reparations, especially here in Americas, it's up to each of us to do our part, and that's me doing my part for the movement. Because if you feel you can't buy, from your brother or sister, at least, to endorse is free. You can endorse your brother and sister online for free. And that's what I'm doing is I'm opening the door to endorse, original men and original women's businesses. All they got to do is reach out to me. If you want or need that free promotion, hit me up, Halsey Allen at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. In the subject bar, type promo. Tell me everything you want me to know about whatever you want promoted. And I'll run it back one more time before diving into the next section, the promo section. If you need or would like free promotion, please hit me up, Halsey Allen at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. Subject bar, type promo. Body of the email, tell me anything. Tell me everything, any and everything about whatever you want promoted, and I'll gladly do it for you here on my platform, the Narrator Podcast. All right. Next section is titled the contest section, and I'm hosting a contest for my listeners and soon-to-be listeners and of the Narrator Podcast. Actively engaging you with the contest. This is like listener participation / incentive. So, basically I'm giving you a homework assignment, checking for the people that actively listen to see if you're really listening by giving you an opportunity to enter this contest. And I'm going to give you a bulk supply of your favorite snack for entering the contest. And the name of the contest is called the Chew on This Contest. And like I said, it's just like incentive / listener participation. just basically to, an effort to grow my audience by giving them a free prize. My audience is growing, so my prize is getting more lavish, but for right now, this is what I can afford, a bulk supply of your favorite snack food item. So to enter the contest, hit me up, Halsey Allen. Oh, well, I never told you the topic. So the topic of the contest basically is I want you to share your most recent shopping while black experience. Now, the name of the contest is called the Chew On This contest. And the entry is 110% free. You have nothing to lose, only something to gain. And if you want to enter the Chew On This contest, hit me up, Halsey Allen at passionwebmail at poeticpassion.host. And in the subject bar, type Chew On This /or - shopping while black, whichever one's most convenient for you. And in the body of the email, make sure to include your mailing address, your shopping while black, most recent shopping while black experience, of course. And then tell me what type of snack food item you would like for as your prize for entering the Chew On This contest. And I'll run it back one more time before moving on to the next section of the Narrative Podcast. So, to enter the Chew On This contest, hit me up, Halsey Allen at passionwebmail at poeticpassion.host. In the subject bar, type Chew On This /or - shopping while black, and in the body of the email, include your mailing address, so I know where to send your snack to, your most recent shopping while black experience, and what type of snack food item you would like as your prize for entering the Chew On This contest. All right. So now those first two sections were just like the preliminary sections of the Narrative Podcast. Here is the nitty gritty. So this is like the really first official section of the Narrative Podcast. This section is called the highlight section. And what I'm doing in this section is I'm highlighting original people that own and operate their own businesses. And the purpose of me doing that is to provide the listener with the positive frame of reference, because that's what I do here on the Narrative Podcast. I provide positive frames of reference about original people and original culture. So the positive frame of reference that I'm providing for is entrepreneurialism. And the reason why I'm doing that, because we don't have a whole lot of frames of reference about entrepreneurialism. The very few frames of reference that we do have about, starting your own business and the importance of having your own businesses is tainted through, scripted reality television shows. The producers on those types of shows, go out of their way to portray, our people in a negative light. So they want to focus the lens on the degeneracy, the toxicity. They want to see us throw each other under the bus on camera, argue on camera, physically fight each other on camera, be ignorant on camera. They don't want to see us behaving, moving and speaking intellectually, moving with a sense of urgency, walking with dignity and decorum, and, looking like somebody attempted to try to raise us. They want to paint the worst possible picture they possibly can about us. And so here on my platform, the Narrative Podcast, well, it's an audio platform first and foremost. So, we short stop in the grind. I'm just giving you the highlights of what it means to be an entrepreneur. I'm walking you through an entrepreneur's journey of how they started their own business with none of those, fillers, no negativity, And the purpose of the highlight section is to inspire you, fill you with the sense of, it's not hopeless for me to want to excel and want to achieve, because you don't have to be, complicit in just working a 9 to 5 if you want to. These people start their own business because, the people that I highlight in the highlight section are usually like just people like you and me, work 9 to 5 jobs, came up with the idea and, stepped out on faith, made their idea come into fruition. Didn't have a whole lot of things. They had no startup money, didn't necessarily have the educational background to do whatever field they're in, had no previous, experience in that field, no business model, no, business statement or whatever, grant letter, the proposal, none of that. So again, just showing you, walking through an entrepreneur's journey. I'm also doing this, the highlight section, to encourage you to, support our people rather than, recklessly use your platforms to bash your own people and to not support your own people. So I'm creating the healthy habit of, support, of why it's so important to support our own in all endeavors. So if, original man or original woman has their own business, no matter what it is, no matter if it's like a food business, retail, labor industry, something, labor intensive, or something corporate, or something that, in health or whatever field it's in. If we know about it, we should support it and be in support of it financially and in spirit. So that's, the primary purpose of the highlight section is to highlight, positive vibes, just trying to get people to promote and patronize original people-owned businesses. The qualifying factors that I select my highlight section candidates are based on these. First of all, of course, they're original people owned and operated. That's first and foremost. They, pay into a nonprofit organization, or they have their own nonprofit organization. They do some type of community, outreach, some type of giving back, some type of philanthropy, something of that nature. But definitely for the people, some type of social cause, some type of something positive. And then lastly, they align up with my theme. And my theme, of course, is the season of fall. So now that you got the gist of the highlight section, here we go. Narrator Podcast, full episode, going in. So like I said, it's the season of fall, and we do a whole lot of, unfortunately, eating in the fall. So I was stuck, I ain't gonna lie, I was stuck on what types of businesses should I highlight. And when I'm usually stuck on a topic, what I should highlight, I usually just look at the calendar and see what national day it is. And today, October 14th on the calendar, is National Dessert Day. So the businesses that I'll be highlighting in the highlight section are companies that specialize in desserts. So first company I'll be highlighting on the in the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast is Cami Cakes. And Cami is spelled with an I, not a Y. So Cami Cakes, it was established in 2006 by a sister by the name of Andrea Hall. So basically her story was her love of food started early in her life. She was raised by her mother and grandmother. Her mother baked and her grandmother cooked. Some of the happiest times of her life was being in the kitchen, helping her mother bake and her grandmother cook. She especially loved spending time with her grandmother cleaning greens. So that's definitely a Southern thing, like cleaning collard greens and, snapping those field peas. Like, oh my God. Like, I remember the first time I ever went down south. I'm going on a little side tangent and I'm right back to the business, but this is a little inside joke that me and my sister got. So, we went down south to live. The man my mother was seeing at the time, he had bought a house, or he had a house, but the house wasn't ready yet, so he was staying with his people, and they didn't have nothing for us to do. So, what they have us do, they had us snapping peas. They had us snap I would say 4 or 5 bushels of field peas just to keep us preoccupied because they didn't have nothing for us to do. I had an older sibling. The older sibling, he went to a concert or something, and, pretty much everybody in the house was out trying to I don't know. But it wasn't a kid-friendly atmosphere that day, so they wanted to just they had us snapping peas. But anyway, and I just told that story just because it jarred the memory. Her grandmother saying, of her Andrea washing greens with her grandmother. But back to her story. She eventually got married and worked a steady job in a labor general labor job, excuse me. The article didn't say what field she was in. I couldn't find any information about what her job title was, but she worked the job. She worked the third shift at the job, and then the idea came when she had gotten ill because she could no longer work her shift. So she needed to do something to supplement her income. So she got to racking her brain on, ways to, generate income and sustain herself financially. And she thought, baking, her love for baking that she had developed over the years, bonding in the kitchen with her mother and grandmother. So thus Cami Cakes was born. Her story was pretty simplistic. Nothing to it, or I just gave you the streamlined version of it. It's a little bit more complex than what I made it sound like, but again, trying to keep in stride with my time limit that I set for myself. On to the next one, but one cool thing about her. Oh yeah, you can go to camicakes.com to patronize her product, her brand. She got 4 locations in the South. She's became famous. She's been patronized by Oprah Winfrey, actor Boris Kojo. He has a favorite. He's a regular. He has a favorite, and hip hop producer Jazzy Faye at her Atlanta location. So join me into giving our sister Andrea Hall a warm narrative podcast round of applause. And, like I said, it's a family-owned and operated business. So, it falls into my criteria. She gives back that way. So, it's going to pass on to the next generation, leaving that legacy. She hires people, her own people to help as well. So, got that going on for her. She's self-made. I just didn't think I did a good job playing up why I'm highlighting her. All right, now this next sister, she kind of really wasn't the traditional narrative podcast highlight section candidate, meaning traditionally, most of the people I highlight, they didn't have sufficient financial means to start a business, but this sister did because she worked a really good job. So that was kind of a spoiler alert, but going right into the content. This next business I'll be featuring on the highlight section of the narrative podcast is called Eat More Cakes. And my narrators, they know I'm a sucker for a play on words, but I am, for the people unfamiliar with the narrative podcast, I'm a sucker for a play on words. I love a good, witty, title. When I go out and look for businesses to support and patronize, I, kind of go for the gimmicky title. And her title is like a play on her last name, because her last name is Moore. And then more like more as in her last name, and then more like many, like a whole lot more, and then cakes. So she incorporated, it's a triple entendre when you think about it. So anyway, it was established in 2008 by a sister named Latricia Moore. So forgive me if I'm mispronouncing her last name, or her first name, excuse me, Latricia. Her contact info, for a brick and mortar, you can go visit 9375 Hampton Lockport, Illinois, or online at www.eatmorecakes.com. Call to place an order, 888-713-2176, or email her directly at lovecakes@eatmorecakes.com, and then follow her on IG at eatmorecakes. So her story is she was originally employed in the corporate world as a business equipment and finance industry specialist, and she did that for 18 years. She enjoyed the financial stability and the prestige of her job. It was like a really, she was making pretty much close to 5 figures. But she wasn't personally fulfilled, so she wanted, to go to another level and, do something she enjoyed. So to start her new path in life, she just kind of, had to find herself, think what makes her happy. She remembered in school her favorite subjects was arts and chemistry. And so, like, how can I combine these two? Well, I'll make cakes because, it is sort of a science. Because, I took the culinary arts, and then when I was baking, we learned, baking is like a science because it's not a recipe, it's a formula. When you bake, you're not baking from a recipe, you're baking from a formula, a baking formula. So that's the science part of it. And then, of course, it's an art of decorating the cake. You got to be artistic with it. So her job paid a generous salary. So she didn't really need to do like a Kickstarter or, go on any TV shows or talk shows to launch her brand. She did it part-time. She just slowly gained momentum to make her brand visible. She just basically just put money aside, dialed back her spending and saved up a few paychecks to buy all of her equipment that she needed. What really got her attraction is for her pitch campaign to make her brand more well known throughout that area. What she would do, she would dress up like cartoon characters. She said her favorite character to dress up as was Minnie Mouse. And she would give out, samples of her product at festivals and jump zones. Sorry, I lost my place in my notes. Jump zones. And, what a jump zone is like those little bounce houses, those type of places that kind of pop up throughout the city. Now, some places, they're actually like a Chuck E. Cheese type deal, and they got the little bouncy, inflatable things. But, that's where she, gained her traction and became popular in Illinois by going to festivals and jump zones, passing out samples of her product. And, to no avail, it worked for her because she's now very lucrative in that field. Her specialty is a 6-tier cakes. She also specializes in pink champagne cakes and banana caramel cakes. So do yourself the hugest favor and patronize our sister, Latricia Moore, and the Eat More Cakes. Join me in the giving Eat More Cakes and Latricia Moore a warm narrative podcast round of applause. All right, last business I will be highlighting in the highlight section here on the Narrative Podcast is the Sweet Stack Creamery. It was established in 2018 by two brothers, Muhammad Troy Lawrence, and did I write the other brother's name down? Oops, I forgot to write the other brother's name down. My bad. Got to punch it up right quick. So, or I think I didn't write his first name. Troy Lawrence, and then the other brother's last name is Muhammad. I didn't write his first name down. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So I'm punching it up right now. It's only showing the one. Let me see. I don't know. Okay. So, yeah, I didn't write his last name. So, the owners' names are two brothers, Muhammad Taha, Taha, and brother Troy Lawrence. And you can see what the product is at www.sweetstack.com or visit their brick and mortar location at 25 Piedmont Avenue, Northeast Atlanta, 30303. Telephone number 404-205-5002. So their story is a little bit unique. Their products is definitely very unique. They specialize basically like donut sandwiches. Like, we've all heard of ice cream sandwiches where they make it the ice cream sandwich. This is like, I don't know if it's like soup or an abomination, but it works. They found it because if you familiar with Atlanta, on their food scene, they'll find some way to make something work. Like they combine textures and flavors like no other. Like I give that to Atlanta as far as like on the food scene. They combine things you would never think go together, then find a way to make it go together. But their spot basically combines like ice cream and donuts. Like that's very unique. What sets them apart from all their competitors is like a product nobody's ever had. Like nobody's ever put like ice cream on a donut. Like ice cream sandwiched in between donuts. So that's what they do there. Also cookies, but the donut is, I've never heard of it. Most people have never heard of it. So basically their story is they met up, became really close in a short amount of time. They worked together as engineers at Delta Airlines. So like I said, upon meeting each other, they quickly hit it off. Found a common interest. Both of them, the job was cool, but they wanted to do something different. They wanted to be their own boss. So, on their free time at work, what they would do is just bounce ideas off each other's head and brainstorm, and eventually they came up with Sweet Stack Creamery. And again, I'm giving you the streamlined version for the time limit that I set for myself. They quickly put their heads together and came up with the Sweet Stack Creamery. They also, started the Black-owned movement during the wake of George Floyd. Because as you know, the pandemic and all that, the George Floyd incident happened during the pandemic, and it posed, a lot of opposition for Black-owned, original people-owned and operated businesses. Like a whole lot of them was getting shut down left and right. So the mayor started an initiative to support and patronize original people-owned and operated businesses. But they took it to a whole nother level on social media. So they led the charge in promoting other people's businesses online. And as a result, their businesses to this day is still currently flourishing. They're located just like right off of a college campus. So that's all their, clientele. So they hire students from the college campus, patronize to the, college campus. And quite frankly, I'm going to just say this is not nothing negative, but, it's it seems like the stoner crowd. It seems, because like I don't know nobody in this, like the sober mind will put donuts and ice cream together, but it works. They stay open till 11. They're open Monday through Sunday, Fridays and Saturdays to midnight. But that's a very innovative idea. I've never heard of that. Ice creams and donuts. Join me in giving these two brothers a warm narrative podcast. Round of applause for Muhammad Taha and Brother Troy Lawrence and Sweet Stack Creamery. All right, so rounding out my next section of the Narrative Podcast is the Spotlight section. And the Spotlight section is, just as it sounds, a spotlight for prominent figures within our community doing something positive with their platforms. I usually spotlight prominent figures in our community, ranging from, but not limited to, the entertainment industry in the areas of, athlete, entertainer, recording artist, comedian, writers, producers, social media influencers, public figures, bloggers, vloggers, YouTubers, TikTokers, whatever, just whoever got a polarizing platform, carrying and conducting themselves in a positive way or doing some type of, involved in some type of social or political activism, or philanthropy, giving back to the community through like hiring their own people, or things of that nature, or, speaking unapologetically on our issues on their platforms. So those are all the people that I spotlight on the Spotlight section of the Narrative Podcast. I've also been known to spotlight religious figures as well. So basically what the Spotlight section is basically I'm giving the people, doing positive things, their roses. Then I'm also, with the Spotlight section, is using it to create the healthy habit of saying something nice about your brother and sister instead of saying something demeaning or demoralizing to them online. Because, we got a really bad habit of doing that online. Like, we throw each other under the bus, we roast each other, we go back and forth in the comment section, and again, it's incentivized by the powers that be to get us to do that. Of course, they slide us the bag to do that. Basically, it's incentivized for brothers and sisters to take cheap shots at each other online and, go outside of our natures and talk about each other like dogs and treat each other like dogs online, all for entertainment, all for money. And so what I want to do is what I did do is I kind of sort of broke that cycle by introducing positive reinforcement about your brother and sister online, as opposed to, throwing your brother and sister under the bus or denigrating your brother and sister, using your platform to bash another original man or original woman. And so, like why I said I succeeded in doing that, because before I added a Spotlight section to my platform, the Narrative Podcast, nobody Nobody, anywhere on social media, anywhere on YouTube, TikTok, whatever platform you can name, was spotlighting anybody. Now everybody got a spotlight section. Everybody's spotlighting somebody. So, even though people don't openly endorse me and the Narrative podcast, it's apparent that I'm causing shockwaves. Because so many people are spotlighting now, and nobody was before I started doing it. So that makes me feel good. As they say, imitation is the best form of flattery. Because my goal was to inspire brothers and sisters to say, positive, nice things about each other online, as opposed to mean, hurtful, denigrating things, airing dirty laundry, and throwing each other under the bus. So, the wave caught on because everybody's doing it. So, the internet makes the world small, and I notice a whole lot of people noticing me because they, incorporate things I say into their little programs and, all my nuances and things on the Narrative podcast. So, the old saying is men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't. But in my case, the numbers is lying like a mug because I'm impacting and being influential in this space that I'm occupying. So I am staying true to my moniker about changing the narrative.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. All right. So, without any further ado, now that you know what the spotlight section is all about, let's get on up into it. This week on the spotlight section of the Narrative Podcast, the spotlight goes to a young brother by the name of Sidney Keys III. Sidney Keys is a native of St. Louis, Missouri. And this young brother was a quiet brother, infatuated with reading, but unfortunately got bullied because he had a stuttering problem. And so, he kind of turned to reading as an escape hatch from the bullying and came up, with the idea of spreading the how good it feels to read to, people in his age bracket. And he started a program. Did I write the name of the code? Books and Bros. And it spread like wildfire. Like there's his numbers went all the way up from a couple hundred. He's now well into the thousands, about to round that corner and be up into the millions. And this is an initiative to, get people, our young brothers, more into reading books. Because reading is the gateway to knowledge. You must read before you, attempt to be good at something. Like reading is just like you need to do it. To not know how to read is just like unthinkable. Like that's worse than a handicap to me, not being able to read. So yeah, not only do you not need to know how to read, you also need to comprehend what you're reading. A lot of us can't have low comprehension skills. Like we read all day, we read all these impressive books with these impressive titles, but we're not, the content of, what we're reading is not registering because the comprehension skills is low. But, I didn't mean to go on that side tangent. I'm just saying, so the young brother's message is well received, deeply needed, And, it makes me feel good because, with this girls rock, girls movement, there's really nothing for our young men, our young brothers. Like, we have things that our lives are valuable to, and we need some esteem builders. We need some things. Our young men need some things to make them feel good about themselves. And we need to see, inclusion, and, we need to feel good. Like we got like a magic about us too. So that's really good that I'm hearing something positive coming from the male perspective of original people. So join me into giving young Sidney Keys III a warm narrative round of applause for his Books and Bros initiative. Now, like I said, the main people I originally, when I started the spotlight section of the Narrative podcast, were entertainers, but throughout time, I kind of shied away from that because I felt like I was like stepping into the negative stereotypes that we can't, or I was helping perpetuate the negative stereotypes that all we can do is entertain. Excuse me. So, what I want to do is just kind of, try to keep the spotlight on regular people, but I might start spotlighting entertainers again. I mean, just a while ago, I just spotlighted Deion Sanders, so, All right, so the next section of the Narrative podcast is the health and wellness section. In this section, it is just how it sounds. It's about health and wellness. I spotlight health and wellness, and the importance of me doing that. I'm going to just do a disclaimer before diving into today's health and wellness tip. All my content is for anybody. Anybody who wants to listen to the Narrative podcast can listen to the Narrative podcast. But just know, my demographic, my target audience, that all my material is aimed at is original people. And so, especially in this section, the health and wellness section, because, in religion, they teach us, we're all brothers and sisters and we're all just equal and, God's love and blah, 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 blah. Well, here on the Narrative podcast, we're realists. We're not, negative. Being real ain't, being negative. Being real is real. And in the reality of it, we're all different. We all have unique genetic makeups, things, culturally that work for us mentally, physically, and spiritually. So like within certain cultures, I can do X, Y, and Z every day, and that's beneficial for me within my culture, as opposed to if I try to do something you do every day, that'll hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't, consume this diet because, just culturally, genetically, that will hurt me over a course of time. It might maybe even kill me over a course of time. But definitely, also, spiritually too, spiritual practices. I can't practice yours, how you see God, how you see the higher power religion through your lens, like just as surely as you can through mine. Now, we can visit different churches and, fellowship along different people, whether you're Muslim, Christian, Hindi, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever spiritual practice you practice, that's different too. Cultural differences. But the main reason why I'm doing this is because out of all the groups of people that are targeted, because we're living in the era where they're putting things in our food, water, air, and just regular products that we consume and use on a daily basis. Out of all the people they do it to our people the most, original people. It's an inherent agenda to get rid of us. There is no denying that. So if you, believe in logic, believe in truth, then you know this to be true. So what I do here on the health and wellness section of the Narrative Podcast is to instruct or teach my people, the original people, how to, fortify themselves or armor up in all the areas that we're being attacked. And all the areas that we're being attacked is physically, mentally, spiritually. So the type of health and wellness tips you will hear from me is how to armor up physically, mentally, and spiritually. Some examples. So like a physical way to armor up, you might hear, the health benefits of a vegetable, fruit, plant, herb extract that will strengthen you and help you live a healthier, more vital lifestyle. Or perform, again on the physical side, some type of physical exercise you can do to make yourself, more healthy. Mental, it all starts in the mind. It all culminates in the mind. So I'll be giving tips about, how to how to stay in good mental health, things you can do for your mind, as well as spiritual practices on the spiritual side of it. I'm not going to go into all the examples, but you get the gist of it. But today is a physical way to armor up. And I will be speaking today about the health benefits of the red onion, red, or in some circles, the purple onion. It essentially is a magnificent food, very easy to grow, sustainable. You can definitely, it does not require cooking. Unlike the white or the yellow onion, it has the purple or red onion has a more pronounced flavor. So meaning you can eat it like raw, and it's not like, all the way disgusting like a yellow onion. I've never seen, or, this is why you can have a red onion on a salad. I've never seen, white or yellow onions in a salad bar, probably because it's like you can't really eat those type of onions raw, but you can definitely eat a red onion raw. And it's loaded with health benefits. First of all, it has antioxidants. So antioxidants, if you're not unfamiliar what antioxidants is, it's basically a fat burner. So if you're trying to lose weight, it's loaded with antioxidants. It'll boost your immune system. So immune system booster. Surprisingly, onions in general, but especially the purple onion, helps you improve oral hygiene because it's antibacterial, antimicrobial, meaning it will kill germs. It'll destroy organisms, microbiotic organisms. Like any bad bacteria in your body, it will siphon off. So it's antibacterial, antimicrobial, also anti-inflammatory. So Dr. Sebi taught us that inflammation is, the leading cause of all disease. So anytime you got inflammation in the body, sickness is sure to follow. So you always want to incorporate something into your diet with anti-inflammatory properties. Anything anti-inflammatory will help, reduce swelling, reduce pain. So you definitely want to get them anti-inflammatories in there. I said anti-inflammatory, anti-cancerous. It has properties that help fight cancerous cells. And also, in all onions, they help you relieve seasonal allergies. So if you like one of them people, that's sniffling and sneezing, it'll help you relieve your allergies. It will, the best way to do it is the skin of the onion. You can take and steep it down and make a tea out of it, and that'll help you. Yeah, so definitely go get yourself some red onions in your life. Now, my next section here on the Narrative Podcast section, or Narrative Podcast, is the speaking section, or the speaking point section, excuse me. So the purpose of the speaking point section is basically to address current news, whether it's globally, nationally, globally, or just within our community. And the purpose of me doing that is to control the narrative, because like when I did my intro, the media's job is to portray and capture us in a negative light. They're going to misrepresent our images and likenesses to line up with their agenda, which is the total destruction and eradication of our people. So basically, that's what the speaking point section is all about, to talk about, current events through our lens, from our perspective. So basically, when I'm doing that, I'm controlling the narrative, because the media, like I said, intentionally tries to misrepresent us any and every time, to line up with their agenda. So, usually when I'm stuck for a topic, what to talk about, I'll just do a PSA. Today's not one of those days. I do have something I want to talk about, or something that garnered kind of headline news, but I do want to do a PSA, because I haven't done a PSA in a while. And my PSAs, when I in the speaking point section, is just an observation that I've noticed that we do as a people, and that we kind of need to stop doing. And and by we, I mean me too. And sometimes I'm more at fault than anybody. That's what it, prompted me to talk about it. But just something I recently noticed. So my PSA for today, something I kind of noticed that we do, we embrace traditions, and we embrace, we just kind of go along with stuff and don't realize the cultural significance, and fully process the applications and ramifications of our actions for participating in certain cultural celebrations that really kind of, in hindsight, when you examine it, really are hurtful to our people, but yet we participate in them anyway. And so, said all that to say, what's going on this month, in the month of October, Halloween. See, I want to do a PSA also about September. I kind of took a hiatus. Kind of took a couple extended breaks in September, but I was meaning to touch on Labor Day. And everybody in the United States celebrates Labor Day. We all grill and chill on Labor Day. But again, our people, we're not realizing the cultural significance. We're blindly celebrating something that we shouldn't really be celebrating. So in the terms of Labor Day was derived from slave times. So on the origin for Labor Day is basically like the slave masters would give the slaves a day off. And so here we are, 2023, celebrating Labor Day. And I know some people, they ain't mad, they don't care, as long as you don't have to go to work. But, all our government buildings are shut down, public transportation, all this stuff shut down on Labor Day, and we're regurgitating a portion of our history without properly questioning its origins. So that's a perfect segue for what I'm getting at for what this month symbolizes. So Halloween is so the lore, as legend has it, Halloween actually kind of comes from traditionally over in Ireland, and they carved jack-o'-lanterns. Not carved jack-o'-lanterns out of pumpkin, but rather turnips or beets or something like that, some type of root vegetable. I briefly looked it up, so I did my Googles on it, but I didn't jot the notes down. But essentially, so it was about this guy who would repeatedly catch the devil, and he struck a deal with the devil. And the deal was, if I died, I don't have to go to hell. Well, he died, but as the lore goes, Satan, he was so mean and nasty, Satan didn't even want no parts of him, and wandered the earth in the form of like a jack-o'-lantern head for the body or whatever. I might, and then there's other things, aspects of it where the candy comes from and just certain stuff, but basically all of it is pagan in nature, and we don't have any business celebrating, because what we're doing is we're summoning and conjuring demonic forces, entities. We're dressing up, signing up for spiritual contracts. And especially here in America, our people definitely really don't have no business celebrating it, because the spirits that we would be blindly conjuring up, is the spirits of former slave masters. Those would be the spirits that we would be conjuring up on our All Hallows Eve. But now, I'm not saying, don't have fun, like, don't participate in the office party, like, it can be fun too, like, you know what I'm saying? A chance to dress up as your favorite entertainer, is your favorite, sports hero like basketball player, football player, or your favorite actor, or favorite movie star character, favorite television star character, favorite cartoon character. And then also it's cool to watch the little cute animated cartoons and like the Charlie Brown and Tim Burton's catalog. The what was it, Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride and all that stuff, all that Halloween-y type stuff. That's all right, but just I'm guessing like at the core of what I'm saying is like just don't be so quick to participate in these rituals that are harmful to our people and signing up for things on a subconscious level that you shouldn't be signing up for. So that's basically all I was saying, was just be mindful of the things you're celebrating, because the powers that be, they have a wicked agenda. They will try to manipulate and warp our minds and getting us to accept things that they've placed over us. And it seems like every year it becomes increasingly harder to break the influence they cast over us and on other people. Like it seems like every year it gets more increasingly difficult to break break those traditions and break those bad habits, because of the things that we're celebrating and the things that we're normalizing as a people, things that we shouldn't be celebrating and normalizing. So speaking of Charlie, speaking of traditions, a beloved classic is coming to the big screen. Another reimagining of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it was a good the 1960s version with Gene Wilder, I think his name was. I think we can all identify with that, but again, we blindly going along with their narrative without fully doing the knowledge. The original it was originally a novel, and in the novel, the Oompa Loompas, who were orange in the 60s adaptation, the 1960s movie, in the book, they were pygmies. So said all that to say, well, the new adaptation of the movie is going to be based on more on the novel and the Broadway play, where the Oompa Loompas were pygmy, not the little cute little orange creatures. So, like, again, we got to just be mindful what we're taking into our collective consciousnesses and celebrating and accepting as normal. So I'm not saying don't be a wet blanket and always look for the negative. What I'm saying is keep your eyes open and your head on swivel, because the powers that be, they always trying it with us. And so just be aware, cognitive and cognizant of the things that you're celebrating. That was my underlining point with that. So now into current news for the speaking point of the day here on the Narrator Podcast. I'll be taking just a brief dive. I kind of sort of covered it, but it's going viral again. And not that I want to give this dude no publicity, but I feel it's a speaking point because it's kind of like a town hall meeting situation. And every time he's involved with our people, something kind of negative happens lately. So the main thing that I'm talking about is DJ Vlad. Now his real name is Vladimir, but essentially his claim to fame, he was initially a Bay Area mixtape DJ out in Oakland, California. So he fell in love with hip hop and about in college, and he wanted to do his DJ thing. Now how he started his platform is he actually had a website, I think it was Vlad.com website, and then he converted the website into the platform it is now on YouTube. And it's been being highly successful. I'm not going to sit up here and say I didn't used to watch Vlad TV. I'm not going to say like all of his, episodes were toxic and damaging to our people, but for the most part, he was trying the trickery. He was trying the trickery and asking leading questions, not editing parts out that he knows he should have edited that out, allowing people to, be on camera inebriated while he's asking questions. And using clickbait to get people to click on it, and just all kind of other trickery and subterfuge. But essentially, basically, he's a vulture, and I'm not mad at him for being a culture vulture. He's doing what a culture vultures do. Like, we got culture vultures within our community. So, I ain't going to fault him for stuff we do ourselves to ourselves. Now, with this case, however, he's being deemed as the person that solved Tupac Shakur's murder. First and foremost, he ain't solved no murder. He asked a guy some questions. A guy that has essentially confessed himself, then told on himself, written a book placing himself at the scene of the crime for Tupac. So everything that brother's going through right now, Keefy D, he did to himself. Like, he could have just not went on the show. He definitely shouldn't have wrote the book. And unfortunately, like I said, the powers that be, they incentivize us to do, to do things, to exploit ourselves like that. And we're living in the sensationalism era. We can sensationalize something and live eternally off of the thing that we're overhyping. Like, because it's no repercussion, no negative repercussion. Because like, you can like kill somebody right now and go to jail. But while you're in jail, you can start you a YouTube channel or some TikToks, do jailhouse YouTubes and TikToks, get money, and then all these other platforms, they'll pay you money to tell your story about why you killed that person. Or maybe I should be saying unalive, because I don't know the algorithms. I don't want it to get taken down. I'm going to switch it up because I done said the K word 3 times. I'm going to say unalive because you unalived somebody. And essentially you will live like royalty while you're incarcerated now, as opposed to before social media. Now, Vlad's involvement in it is like, he is crouched in the nest of hip hop And he conveniently says everything that he does is just a shrewd business move. It's business, nothing personal. That's his motto. It's business, nothing personal. Everything is just lucrative business. Okay. A beloved member within our community referenced something about someone about his community. And the incident in question is when the Honorable Lewis Minister Farrakhan said, you know, fake Jews, I'm paraphrasing them, I don't got the direct quote, deserved to be stoned with the rock of truth. And what he meant by that is, you know, people in the tiny hat community in Hollywood that are under the guise of saying they follow that religion are basically exploiting our people, original people, and trying to enslave them like, you know, the Pharaoh did to their people, and acting ungodly and acting maliciously in an oppressive manner and lying and trying to make our people engage in their rituals and threatening their lives and their livelihood. So that's essentially what the minister meant by that. But he, who says everything's just business, it's nothing personal, I'm just a businessman, I don't even have a religion, I identify as an atheist. He identifies as an atheist. But he said on his platform, he hadn't took issue with somebody from our community because he says his descendants were, you know, captured in the Holocaust, and he essentially was saying he didn't want to picture that image of, you know, relive that, you know, atrocity with that statement. So he took the Honorable Lewis Minister Farrakhan's statement out of context to basically align up with his own preconceived agenda or notion. And what does he do? He was wrong. He intentionally misquoted him, and he never apologized for it. But everything is, you know, it's just business. It's lucrative business. It ain't, I talk with these rappers and I shoot pardon my language, I shoot the shit with them and I smoke a blunt and, you know, everything's happy-go-lucky. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's just business, you know. It's just business. You know, hey, I'm glad. It's just business at the end of the day. It ain't nothing personal. You know, I'm just getting my money, man. I'm getting my money. And he always does that in concern to our people. See, he doesn't have a problem with our artists going up there, you know, inebriated, making themselves and their community look bad. He don't got a problem with that. He don't got a problem profiting money from us, but he got a problem when he believed someone insinuated something negative about his community. He picked a side, basically, is what I'm saying. He picked a side. It wasn't just all businessmen. It wasn't just lucrative business. It was personal. He went on a personal, pretty much vendetta with that. And I'm not saying it because he's the minister and because I believe, you know, everything he does is right. I'm not saying that at all because, you know, he's the minister, but he's a human being. He's not infallible. No human being is infallible. What I'm saying is the hypocrisy that this dude within our culture consistently does. Speaking more about Tupac, he's prided himself as being or solving the murderous Tupac Shakur, interviewing more guests that knew Tupac and had run-ins and experiences with Tupac, getting them to say their interactions with Tupac on camera. He got a $1 billion industry. Billions. He's worth clearly over $1 billion now with his Vlad TV. He's amassed so much from the culture of hip hop. He don't even have to do Vlad TV no more. He can sell it. He can just walk away from it, do something else, and he will be all right. He can leave Vlad TV right now and be financially all right for the rest of his life. But I said all that to say he loves hip hop. He's still going by the moniker DJ Vlad, and there's many. We're just never ever going to settle the debate on the origins of hip hop because it's so convoluted. But one thing we can agree, that's agreed in all circles, is that the DJ was the cornerstone of the culture. In every story of hip hop, the DJ was the cornerstone of hip hop. No matter, the contributors is sketchy, who contributed, who played a role. But the one quintessential element of hip hop that all historians seem to be in agreement with is that the DJ was the key component of the culture of hip hop. So this guy calling himself DJ Vlad, who has now amassed billions of dollars solely off of the late Tupac Shakur, has not donated one thin dime to any of Tupac's surviving members of his family. He has not devoted one thin dime to things Tupac believed in, causes Tupac supported in life. But he sat up there and interviewed everybody in the industry, and he ate off them. But then he goes on to say, it's business, nothing personal. So since he loves Tupac so much, I got a quote, a Tupac quote, and y'all tell me if this quote applies to DJ Vlad or not. Let me just punch it up. Pac, I can't say it like Pac because he just said it so charismatically. But essentially the quote was, if I'm trying to get it, I don't know what page it was on. Man, did I? I must have wrote it in this. Basically, Brother Pac said, watch people. Just watch people. Because a phony can only be a phony. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I had the direct quote, so I got to paraphrase now. Watch people. Watch people expose themselves to be a phony. Because a phony can only be phony for so long before they finally expose themselves. And so, that's a brilliant philosophy, because that's really all you have to do in life is not say anything. Just watch people. They'll tell you everything. Anything you want to know. Someone to tell on themselves. Even when they say nothing, their silence is their answer. So if they didn't say nothing to you, they just looked at you, they already told you. They already confirmed something that you knew anyway. So let's like take that same philosophy of the late Tupac and look at DJ Vlad and his involvement in his dealing within our culture and how he's capitalized off of the pain of our community and has played a role in recycling and reinforcing these negative stigmas and stereotypes placed over our people by people like him. Vultures, like, but he loves hip hop. He's a DJ. You feel me? And so I'm not trying to say everything wrong within the community of hip hop started with him. Of course not. I'm not trying to vilify him and blame him for every single wrong thing that an artist did, you know, because of being a guest on his show. But, you know, sometimes you got to call a spade and connect the dots. I'm not going to say he's the feds, but, you know, he went on the Breakfast Club and he was saying a whole lot of police type terminology surrounding Keefe D, saying stuff like how would a regular person just know that without Googling it? Like he just, you know what I'm saying? Like the stuff he was saying was just rolling off of his tongue. Like you would have to like study that for like them terms. You had to study for like 2 and 3 days to like know that. He was just belting out them terms like, you know, he says them every day. You feel me? Like, so that's all I'm saying is, that's all I want to say. He didn't solve no murder because first and foremost, he's a prime suspect. Not, you know, it's not over till he actually gets convicted with the crime. But now, through this investigation, now Puffy, Sean Diddy Combs Puffy, he's in danger of going down. You see, a string of original men fitting to be incarcerated. And he has a string of men who, upon appearing on his platform, ended up going to jail, ended up, you know, losing finances because they done got their Instagram or YouTube canceled. You know, some, what do they call that? A passive stream of income in addition to, you know, entertaining. Because, you know, these days for an actor or actress or a recording artist, YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff, that's their bread and butter. And then you go on his platform and then get your Instagram and your YouTube and all that canceled immediately. And then he will sue you for slander and defamation. He's that petty too. If you reference his name in the wrong way, if he feels like, you know, it's actually some money in it for him, like, and then sometimes he's went on to say he'll just do it to avoid paying somebody. You will never get paid for me if you try to sue me. It'll never happen because I got a team of lawyers. I go to court and just, you know, waste your time and my time, but you won't get a dime out of it. So we have to look at him and people like him within our industry that we think are harmless when they're actually harming our people and our culture. So that'll do it for my what was I about to say? Final word of the day. Or speaking point of the day, excuse me. All right, so here we go. Last section of the day here on the Narrative Podcast is the speaking point of the day. And the speaking point of the day is just basically something philosophical, a wise word of wisdom, a quote, a saying, just something to challenge you and weigh heavy on your mind and, think deep thoughts, something to ponder. And what I want to leave you with today, final thought of the day here on the Narrative Podcast, is to stop saying you believe in something. And so what I mean by that is we use the word believe so loosely. And, if you didn't know, belief is equivalent, or belief basically is a doubt. So, if you're a Christian or a Muslim and you say you believe in God, then, that's an oxymoron. You can't know something and believe it. You see? So you're already denouncing the very thing that you have faith in because you said you believe. Like, for example, belief, when you say believe, that's uncertainty. You don't know. You don't have confidence behind it. You believe. Hey, how do you do this? Hey, was that you over here? I believe so. I think so. I believe so. Speaking of going to trial, belief is also a good legal way to deflect something, because it's basically saying you don't know. Is this right? You understand? Like, is this correct? Oh, I believe so. Unless the lawyer makes you say yes or no, but it's technically an answer. You believe so, you don't know for a fact. And I don't know is kind of an answer, really, when you think about it. But yeah, belief basically means you don't know. You're not certain. So you can't believe you're going to win. You have to know you're going to win. You can't believe everything's going to be fine. You have to know it's going to be fine. You can't believe in God or the higher power or the source or whatever you call yourself, whatever your spiritual religion or spiritual practice is. You have to know it exists in order for it to work. You can't believe it, because you can't believe and know at the same time. It's one or the other. What do you believe in? That was my final thought of the day. Thanks for listening. Download this episode of the Narrative Podcast as well as all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast. I will see you next weekend with another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Remember to check me out on all platforms regularly throughout the week, because I broadcast live on weekdays. I never know which day that I'm going to do a live upload, so make sure you tune in all week long. I'll try to tap in and let you know if I'm not going to do a live. I might do a live just to say I'm not going live this week, guys, but it's iffy. But just keep me locked in. Follow me, Halsey Allen, in the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. A great way to not miss a live episode of the Narrative Podcast is to follow me on YouTube, and my viewer channel is Halsey Allen. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notification bell, and you will never miss a live episode of the Narrative Podcast. Or my Twitter, X, formerly Twitter. You can go follow me on Twitter. I'm also Halsey Allen, because this platform that I'm on broadcasts to YouTube and Twitter. So follow me on YouTube or Twitter, and you will never miss a live episode of the Narrative Podcast. Also, I have written, and I appreciate you if you guys support. I've written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. Currently, the only medium that it's available on is poetizer.com's virtual bookstore. So head over to poetizer.com's virtual bookstore and look for my title, The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen. The Black Card basically is a 30-page book of poetry, encompassing all, everything that we, experience and go through as a people, both positive and negative. So the Black Card basically is like a survival card, if you will. It'll make a great coffee table read, a good leisurely read, very creative, witty, and insightful. Do yourself the hugest favor and go get you, secure you a copy of the narrative, or a copy of the Black Card. Get your copy of the Black Card today, or get your Black Card revoked. Lastly, I have my very own personal poetry blog called hallziespoetrycorner, and it's on blogger.com, and the email address is www.mrhalziesblogs.com, and I would like for you to support that. And how you support it basically is you go to that website, www.mrhalziesblogs.com, share the link or a poem featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner on all platforms. So like on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit, whatever you're active on, share the link or a poem from Halsey's Poetry Corner on all platforms. Now, if you occupy a visual space, like where a camera's in front of you, like YouTube, TikTok, or what's the other one, Snapchat, or the visual ones where you do the little snippets, Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, Flipgram, Periscope, whatever. You might want to just, shout out Halsey's Poetry Corner or a poem that you like from Halsey's Poetry Corner on one of those platforms. But essentially just share Halsey's Poetry Corner poems or the link to Halsey's Poetry Corner on all platforms. Well, it's been real. I'm out of here like last year. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Stay positive, my family. This year's almost over. Keep on supporting. Keep listening to the Narrative Podcast. Join me this weekend for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. I'm Halsey Allen, and I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to become a narrator and help me change the narrative by changing the narrative on your timeline one episode at a time, or changing the narrative one social media post at a time, while I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen in the Narrative Podcast, signing off, and it's like that.
listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.